Hello everyone, I'm on petting duty right now, but while we're here, I just finished a lot of kind of rom-com books, came back from a trip from London. Connie and I were there for a week, so it was very kind of lighthearted reads, vacation reads, cute books like that. Immediately came back, and the weather is so chilly, so fresh. It's feeling like, it's giving autumn. So immediately going to pivot. That's so businessy. So last year I tried this myself, and I tried to create like an autumn reading list, like a seasonal reading list. It did not go well because I think autumn is the perfect time to read those like dark and moody books. But I am not a dark and moody person, which you'll quickly come to see. So I got through like maybe 2 books on my list only, and read like lighthearted stuff on the side. However, fresh out of a vacation, fresh out of a trip, work stress very low, levels good. I'm gonna try again. So this is a little reading vlog for our autumnal books and what is left on my large TBR kind of shelf. I love how I just talked about dark and moody and how I'm gonna try reading those books. However, my first book already breaks the rules. It came on my library holds in Libby, and that's why I thought it was the perfect time to start this vlog, even though it's still early September right now that I'm filming, which is crazy. I still want to drink summer on. However, this is a very popular book. I've seen it everywhere. A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. I was first introduced to this book by one of my best friends, Christina. So I actually got a different book from her that's sitting somewhere back there. And it was a poetry book by Mary Oliver, which I'm also very excited to get into because I don't read poetry a lot, and she promised me that this could help get me into it because she's also not a big poetry reader. So I'm really excited for that one. She got this book for our other friend Sunny, and it was actually the first time that I had heard about the book, but she said it was super cozy. It's a short read, so I obviously placed a hold in the library like a few days later, and I've been waiting since, and it's finally here. What do I know about this book? I do a lot of reading where I go into it knowing nothing. This one, however, I think the summary is quite concise, and it drew me in immediately. So my understanding is that it's about a tea monk and this robot that shows up out of the blue, and basically the robot is on this quest of sorts, where it can only return to where it came from once people answer the question, what do people need? And immediately I can understand how this is going to be a very cozy book. I'm excited to read it. It's so short. I'm like, literally, I opened the title page and went through the table of contents, and it's already 2% complete. So I'm hoping this is a good kickstart. I'm gonna go change into my PJs now and get started. So through the first chapter, it's time for bed. You can see we have a sleepy boy here. First impressions, it's actually not as like plotless and easygoing as I would have thought, which I actually enjoy. There's some challenges that come in the way with this monk who has decided that they wanted to choose a new career path and become a tea monk. And I think a lot of the beginning are just pieces that I really relate to, especially that feeling of wanting to get out of the city, wanting to do something around nature, and it does not help with feeding into my delusions of opening like a coffee shop. You know, we all have it, we've all been there. This book will encourage those delusions, so be warned. Those are my first impressions. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to reading the rest of the book, and I think I can probably finish this tomorrow, and then I'll check back in with additional thoughts. But for now, very cozy, very comforting. The descriptions of the settings and you know, the different little trinkets here and there even are so beautiful and so cozy. I'm gonna use that word way too many times. Anyway, that's all for today. checking in on my morning reading. I got right back to this book as soon as I got out of bed, and it was a very nice, peaceful kind of Sunday morning. I am now done the second chapter, so like I would say almost a third of the way through, I think. I'm really enjoying this book. I really appreciate how it reads. This is going to be a very weird comparison, so sit with me. If you have read the Scythe trilogy before, so like I think it's Scythe, Thunderhead, and The Toll, that dystopian trilogy, somehow when I read this book, my mind goes back into that visualization and that feeling of existing in that dystopian world. However, with much less angst and much less stress and a lot more tea and coziness. However, what I didn't expect from this is that it's not all just like smooth sailing and, you know, just one of those slice of life telling stories, what have you. So the main protagonist in this book is constantly struggling to find themselves and, you know, find satisfaction in this career and honestly life milestones and decisions that they've chosen for themselves. And it's just this ongoing search. And I think that's something that truly we can all relate to at times. That feeling of, you know, thinking about what could be better and also making big life choices and having these high expectations for them to fix everything that's going wrong. So if you feel targeted by that, you're gonna be feeling very seen by this book. I've already highlighted a lot of quotes and they generally revolve around that. So it's either the protagonist just questioning their inner thinkings and desires and needs and wants, or just the general idea of getting out of the city and going into nature, which anyone who knows me knows that that is my constant state. So with that, I have a few errands to run. Gotta walk my son, aka my dog, and then I'm just gonna get locked in and finish this and then check back in after. Hello from the next day. This book is now completed. Truly a quick read. If you're looking for something to get you out of a reading slump, this would be the book that you could choose. A Psalm for the Wild Built. It is now on my wish list of books that I would like to eventually collect slowly in my growing collection in the back. This is my shelf. That's Connie's shelf. This is already filling up, so I might need a new one soon. And I'm just making do, honestly, with like when we moved in, we just put a bunch of our old furniture in, so that's what I'm making do with right now. But A Psalm for the Wild Built and its sequel, I think I would like to add them to the collection. The book was all around enjoyable, a very heartwarming experience. In fact, in the end, I even felt like, you know, I didn't, like, honestly, I didn't go as far as like tearing up or anything, but the last chapter and the last few moments in the book were so heartwarming that you feel that like welling up inside reading like the last few lines. It gave all around such an encouraging and comforting experience, saying things that honestly we don't hear enough of. It's telling you whatever life you're living in now and whatever situation you find yourself in, you are doing fine and you are doing great. So I think it's lovely to have one of these books kind of just cheer you on once in a while. I'm obsessed with the robot, absolutely obsessed. Cutest thing ever. And this would honestly make a fantastic movie adaptation, specifically if Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli could make something, which is gonna be a video that I'm coming out with soon on just, you know, general Studio Ghibli vibes. So if you're a fan of that, fan of this book. I highlighted so many quotes and just that aspect of, you know, nature, tea, wholesome friendships, all of that in this book. Perfect kickoff to my autumn reading vlog. Nothing else left to say. For my next book, I'm still easing into it. I'm not going all the way yet, but we're getting there. So moving on from this very wholesome read, I read Ninth House earlier this year. I am a big Leigh Bardugo fan. I'm obsessed with the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom duology. And honestly, some of her other books haven't lived up to the level of excitement, quality, sheer like emotional attachment that series has. However, the closest I found is in Ninth House. I think it was a phenomenally executed book. After finishing Ninth House, I immediately went and I bought the sequel and I just haven't picked it up yet. I think some people probably like the cover and are into this kind of almost gory imagery. I myself, not a fan. That's why I haven't picked it up. But if not during autumn and Halloween season, when else? So my next read will be Hellbent. I'm really excited to read this. The cliffhanger in Ninth House was actually quite suspenseful, so I actually do really want to figure out what was happening. I was able to guess the twist, but I'm not really sure where they're going to take it after that twist happened. So looking forward to reading this. I will continue my vlog and hopefully not just read it at home this time. I'm hoping I can bring it around to some cafes and just enjoy, because it is quite a thicker book. I honestly thought I could go back into the Alex Stern series and just remember where I left off. For the most part, I did. It is slowly easing me back into the complex characters and honestly the crazy storyline and the timeline of events that happened in the first book. But I'm not gonna lie, I kind of read the prologue and the first chapter, and then I just spent the rest of my time reading a recap online of what happened in Ninth House. But I think that did set everything back in line for me, and tomorrow morning I will be in a much better spot to continue reading. It has been a week. I thought I'd have a lot more time to read, but with work stuff going on and coming back from vacation, and I also tried spin for the first time in my life, and I can feel it. There's just been a lot happening, so I've just been reading like little bits here and there. I'm trying to reach my book. I've gotten this much done so far. There's only 2 little tabs here, but I think it's because I really like Leigh Bardugo and how her writing is quite like unpretentious. So everything in the book is really for the purpose of forwarding the plot and forwarding the character. And it's quite like, I guess, simple to consume in that way. I will say, like, this, I'm really glad I chose this. This is the perfect autumn book right now. It has slight spookiness, some ghosts, some dark academia elements, and also with just a really thrilling plot that is very easy to get into. I don't know if any of you have read Ninth House, but I was concerned that the conflict in that book will continue to drag on a bit too long into this one. There are hints in the early bits that have very similar writing styles and suspense building around the exact same issue and conflict in the previous book, but rest assured, I got here last night and it has resolved. I'm not going to say resolved itself, but things have changed and it's getting exciting. So yeah, I'm gonna start reading again this morning. It's a very cloudy, chilly autumn morning. So I did make it. Connie's here.
Hello.
We did make it to a cafe for some reading. It's the autumn reading vlog, but it's 30 some degrees Celsius out. What is that in Fahrenheit? In Fahrenheit, that means hot. It's like really hot. Autumn reading vlog.
I will be studying, not reading, unfortunately.
It is the day after the cafe trip, all the cutesy drinks and you know, getting actually a lot of reading done. But the night I come back, or the evening I come back from the cafe, I start getting a tickle in my throat, and I thought it's something I ate during dinner, but immediately this morning, just like fever, just off the bat. I had to take the day off work and just sleep into eternity. My Tylenol finally kicked in. It's like past 9 p.m. So I'm gonna try and just wrap the day up nicely and get some reading done. I wanted to check in, even though I'm feeling like not great, maybe you can tell. I am almost done the book, so that's why I want to do a final little check-in before just reading the rest of it. I would really highly recommend this book if you're still looking for something to add into your fall rotation this year, or honestly for the future years. It is suspenseful, it is mysterious, it is the epitome of dark academia, and it just really gives a strong autumn like vibe. I also really appreciate that Leigh Bardugo, who I realized, I apologize, I've been saying her name slightly incorrectly through the beginning of the vlog, but Leigh Bardugo knows exactly what she wants to do. I always forget her writing style because her books are so, like, they're quite long. They're in the 400 plus pages range, and you would worry that like a story would drag, but I really appreciate her writing because she's not afraid of kind of giving you multiple climax points, and not just like, you know, small pieces. It's like almost like the first chunk of the plot is trying to resolve itself until it all goes wrong again. So it's very similar to that Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom duology, where, you know, you never know what's going to go wrong next, and it just keeps you very engaged in the story. It could have easily been, like, I think publishers could easily pressure authors otherwise, especially in the YA space, to just continue and make it a trilogy or even make it into 4 books. But she knows exactly the pacing she wants to do. She knows exactly where she wants this plot to go. And I really appreciate the pacing of the story and just how it continues to change. I also wanted to check in because I think we finally reached the last climax point. And with books like this, you just know that, like, you know, you just know that things are going to work out for the protagonist, so I'm not too worried about that. But I am quite invested because honestly there's a million ways that things could still go wrong, and I don't have the best guess into how they're going to resolve everything. So I'm fully engaged and fully excited to continue reading and figure out where these characters end up. I'm also, if you can't tell, I'll stay with my parents this weekend, and now that I'm sick, I just haven't picked up and left. So here's my empty childhood books bookshelf. There's like literally the Harry Potter series and stuff. Eventually I think this will all merge because my other bookshelf is becoming full. But anyway, I'm not gonna vlog the rest of the read because I'm just gonna be snotty and sick and reading in bed. But I will check in once I finish the book and just give my final thoughts. I am an idiot. I totally thought this was a duology. Everyone who's read the series or have, like, our Leigh Bardugo fans were probably like hitting themselves in the head the whole time I was talking in this whole reading vlog. I thought that the entire series will be concluded in the last few pages that I was reading last night. I am an idiot. The main conflict of this book, of course, is concluded, and it was done so in, I don't know how else to say it, almost felt like Harry Potter-esque. For no reason. It was the feeling, it wasn't like the way it went about. But anyway, this stuff just keeps coming. So I had to research because in my defense, Storygraph says that there's only Alex Stern 1 and number 2. And I had to Google and do some sleuthing to figure out that there is a 3rd book coming out. So that's news to me. My review of this book remains consistent with my last check-in last night. The ending, what I meant by it alludes a bit to the Harry Potter-esque ending, is that it does wrap up quite, I'm gonna say almost conveniently, with all the different characters and magical elements that are kind of introduced slowly through this book. I find the ending might have been a bit like, we saw this, this, and this, and it was kind of just like fast and very convenient. But again, it's not really an actual strong complaint because I think I appreciate how this book is, I kept calling it a YA. I don't think it is a YA. I appreciate how it gives very mature and dark topics and, you know, like dark backgrounds to some of the characters. It adds that true dark academia element, while Leigh Bardugo herself is a master at writing young adult novels. So it almost gives you that feel while you're reading an adult dark academia book. So all around, I think this was a very well balanced book, good plot, great characters. And I'm definitely going to be reading the 3rd book when it comes out. For my next book, I think it will be the final one for this autumn reading vlog. We've done the cozy books, we've done the dark academia books. Now let's just go full dark. It's literally in the title of the book. Honestly, not the time for me to be reading it right now because when I'm sick, I usually like something more lighthearted, but I'm committing to the bit. I will be reading My Dark Vanessa. I have heard so many great reviews on this book, which is, that might be a weird way of putting it if you know the topic. If you don't, this book is kind of like a back and forth between 2 time frames of like the future and the present, and we follow this girl Vanessa as she kind of processes what has happened to her in the past, where essentially in I think it was the year 2000, she was a 15-year-old girl who became entangled in an affair with her 42-year-old English teacher. And in the future time frame in 2017, so 17 years later, I believe it comes out that this teacher was accused of sexual abuse by a former student. and they reach out to Vanessa to ask her if she's willing to testify and share her experiences. I believe that from what I hear, the topic is handled with true empathy and sensitivity, so it is a very important and horrible topic to explore on issues like this that happen in the real world. So I will get into reading this today. I don't know yet if I'll film myself. You can tell things are bad when I start wearing a hat indoors. My hair is not good. I am looking forward is not the right term. I am very intrigued to get into this book and start learning about a topic that honestly I avoid learning more about because it is highly uncomfortable. However, I think it is something that will be very eye-opening to read and to kind of experience through the protagonist of this novel. After getting over the virus I caught, we dragged ourselves outside to enjoy what was left of fall. Apple picking went horribly because the whole city ended up showing up, so we left with some pre-picked apples and apple cider. I also did some cafe surfing with Connie, and we found a cool bike-themed cafe with its own resident dog, so that was amazing. We then tackled the new batch of apples. I tried an apple fritter recipe from Preppy Kitchen, and it was absolutely divine. My family is still talking about this sweet treat, and I actually think they will force me to make it again soon, so let that be a recommendation within itself. Right, this vlog has slowly deteriorated into a total mess. My camera is out of battery, my camera is out of storage. We are now filming on my phone, so let's get this done and let's talk about good books. Last night at around 1 a.m. on a work night, I did finish My Dark Vanessa. Like this quote right here, Gillian Flynn, perfectly put. What a stunning book. This book is just a definition of like empathy and walking in the shoes of someone you wouldn't otherwise, you know, understand their lives and their experiences and how they feel and think and go about existing. I honestly did tear up at the end of this book. It really just is a very cohesive and beautiful story about something that is so horrific and dark. I never felt compelled to read Lolita, which is actually referenced quite a bit through this book. And honestly, I don't think I'll need to. I think this is the story that needed to be told, and I'll leave it at that. Overall, what a fun experience. This is the most autumn-based reading I've done ever. I would definitely recommend, you know, either setting up your own little bullet journal, reading tracker, vlog style diaries, a buddy read, something fall themed for what's left of fall this year or for next year, because it really just elevated a season that's already so wonderful. I discovered some really fantastic books and a lot of different ranges of stories that all fit into this kind of gloomy but cozy and colorful season, and I will 10 out of 10 be repeating this experience again. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm going to be moving on to my Halloween book that just came in the library. I'll be reading Rewitched, which I've been hearing so much about lately. I will not be vlogging this because I have like 4 days until Halloween, so I just need to lock in and finish this book before I start reading just a random Halloween cozy book in November, which is fine, but it's just, you know, it's a bit out of theme. I'd rather just stick with the festivities of the season, you know, and if it's good, I'm sure you'll hear about it in the next videos. With that, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you picked up some recommendations. All of the books I read, I would actually highly recommend, so this was a good reading vlog. Go enjoy what's left of fall, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.